Non-Americans of Reddit, what is the craziest rumor you heard about America that turned out to be true?
Injured people try to avoid getting ambulances called for them. For real, WTF. I heard that Americans had to pay for an ambulance ride and thought at most it would just be an amount to cover petrol. But I've seen people claim it costs anywhere up to $3,000. I understand it will probably vary a lot between states. Every day I am increasingly thankful for the NHS and so sad to see it underfunded and struggling to cope. My boyfriend has health insurance. Got a bill for $990 for a 15-minute ambulance ride. His leg was in pieces. His head was a wreck. His fingers were broken, and so was his neck. His ankles were cracked, and his knees were a mess, and where were his eyeballs? That's anyone's guess. His forearms were mangled. His stomach was ripped. His skin was in slivers and shredded and stripped. His teeth were all mangled, and so were his toes, and where were his tests? Well, nobody knows. He lay in the road in a puddle of blood. They got to him quickly, as fast as they could. "You must let us help you or soon you'll be dead." He checked his insurance. "No, thank you," he said. That Hawaiians really like Spam. Yeah, and there's a perfectly good reason for it too. After Pearl Harbor, the effects of WW2 started in the US and rationing became a thing. Well, it turns out that it's kind of hard to get fresh rations to an island that imports a lot. So, for meat, they had to make do with Spam. Human ingenuity prevails and dishes were made. And that's how Hawaii learned to love Spam. They have garbage disposals in their kitchens. That's just so wild to me. Edit. To clarify, I'm from the UK. I'm aware that they're not the same as bins/trash cans, and that they're mainly for food waste and scraps. I'm also delighted that they're called carburetors in Canada.
Okay, this is one an American, didn't expect to see. Didn't realize these weren't common in other countries. Why do they seem wild? Easier for the homeowner to rinse scrap food off plates and peel veggies into the sink, and wastewater treatment is better designed to process biomass than landfills. Seems like a win-win.
That public transport is almost non-existent in many smaller towns, which makes it a necessity for teens to have their own.
100%. So if you want a job, when you're 16 you better live walking distance to your job, or have your parents get you a used car of sorts. I'm gonna throw an edit in here to you city slickers. Not everywhere is bike friendly, especially in growing cities and rural counties, where downtown is along a 55 miles per hour highway without sidewalks or shoulders. Even if it's within walking distance, many places will still not hire you if you don't have a car. What if it's raining, snowing? An employee not having a car is a red flag to an employer that this person may not be reliable. There's a reason why most applications ask if you have transportation to get to your job. It really sucks, but that's how it is.
I remember, when I was younger, seeing something on an American sitcom or a movie, I forget, about cheese that came in some kind of spray can or a squeezy tube, and I remember thinking it was a joke. Edit. This is what I've learned. It's called Cheese Whiz or Easy Cheese. Awesome variation, as long as there are ZS in the name. It's more like a cheese-based product or cheese-flavored food fluid, both of which sound like something you extract from a cyst. The movie I saw it in just might have been a Goofy movie or Blues Brothers. I can't remember. It's mostly an abomination that brings shame to your country, but it might actually be tasty at 3 a.m. if you are drunk/high/hating yourself/all of the above. 2 ways to make it more enjoyable include spraying on crackers or as part of a Philadelphia cheese steak, or would that make it a cheese steak? Thanks for all the responses, lads.
You buy easy cheese when you're a kid and eat it on Ritz crackers. Then you turn 10 and you never eat it again. You want to, then you remember how ridiculous it is, then you don't. I remember me and my dumbest friends would put bacon cheddar as cheese on barbecue Lay's chips. I could hear my health teacher screaming across the city. It's the Leaning Tower of Cheese. A Goofy movie reference. What a wonderful day.
Homeowners associations? What the fuck is up with that? We're all planting red flowers this year. Margot. Shut up, Karen.
The real purpose of HOAs is to maintain a certain aesthetic standard for the neighborhood while the developer tries to sell houses. It also allows the developer to recoup some of the expenses to create or maintain the common areas from the homeowners. HOAs are created to benefit developers and not homeowners. Source: I'm a real estate attorney that has drafted and filed a bunch of HOA declarations for developers. Have to include the history. HOA started as a way to discriminate. We all agree that this board we elected has to approve everyone who lives here.
As a Brit living in America, the amount of pharmaceutical commercials on TV is creepy.
We agree. It's really unsettling. Also, I'm sick of Peyton Manning and Aaron Rodgers showing up to tell me about insurance.
I've had several German friends who were amazed that at house parties everyone actually does drink out of red Solo cups. They thought that was just a weird thing people did in movies, and now they think it is a huge conspiracy or something. I'm Finnish, and few years back people actually threw US-themed parties, and the high point of the parties were the red cups and beer pong played with them. Every person I know who owns a set of those cups, like 20 or so, use them only for beer pong. They wash them and use again in the next party. Standard in Finland are those see-through cups you see in festivals. The red cups make every party just slightly better and classier, and add a feel that the host actually put in effort. Not exactly crazy, but I wanted to test out the stereotype that Americans will talk to anyone, so I sought out a sports bar on my first visit. Ended up having a ton of really fun conversations with total strangers who I'll never talk to ever again. It was great.
American, I will speak to anyone about anything. I can't even count the number of times I've randomly started conversations with strangers, become friends within 30 min, then never spoken to them again. When I started traveling for work, I'd often find myself in bars or on flights and buses alone, so I'd end up starting a convo so I could have some human interaction. Lol. Can you really buy a gun at Walmart? We have Walmart here in Canada, but I've always wondered if you can really buy one just like that in the States. At my local Walmart, you can bring your car in for an oil check, get an eye exam, get a haircut, eat lunch at the in-store Subway, purchase a gun, purchase groceries, purchase a freaking couch, and then go home once the background check for the gun is finished and the oil change is done.
My dad heard this crazy rumor about everyone getting drunk and wearing green for one day a year. He obviously didn't know this was a holiday and was like, WTF? When he came to the US and discovered St. Patrick's Day, he was amazed. Edit. My dad is from China, for those who are asking. St. Patrick's Day in the US is an excuse for ordinary Americans to act the way that middle-aged Londoners act when on holiday in Dublin, only with more plastic leprechaun hats and glitter. Edited to add. Stop upvoting this. It is not as funny as Up All Night to Get Lucky. That there are security guards, or cops, in the school's halls, and some even have metal detectors at the entrance like the TSA at airports. Yep. Hasn't really affected school shootings though, just like how the TSA routinely fails to actually detect prohibited items in drills. They literally let a guy get through with a handgun in his bag. That your country is huge. I got off the plane and asked the cab guy how far the hotel was, and he said about 30 miles. I almost had a heart attack. Turns out cabs are cheaper than the UK. I can't remember the price I paid, but I was pleasantly surprised. The UK cabs are like £4 per mile. Also, you would get laughed of the taxi for asking to go 30 miles and not taking the train. I once heard that to Americans, 1,000 years is a long time, and to Europeans, 1,000 miles is a long way. Edit. I had heard this as 1,000, but I agree that 100 makes more sense. You can see into the public toilet cubicles. Female here, I've been in bathrooms where the gap between the stall and door is so big I felt the need to cover it with my purse just to get some privacy. The absolute worst is when some mother brings her grubby-handed son on the bathroom, and you see a fucking 8-year-old's eye staring at you from the other side of the door.